Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We're on time.
We're on time. Just careful. Just be cautious, okay? Be cautious. I think
it's a plus that we're on time. That's the first thing.
Okay, we'll take that.
And we're going to do this right. We're going to introduce ourselves first. Okay. I'm Noelle, and I am part of Knits and Pieces, and I live in Southwestern Ontario. And we are basically a knitting podcast. But this is our weekly knit chat. So this is a little bit different than our regular episodes. This is just like you're going out with your friends to the coffee shop, bringing your knitting and talking about whatever comes up in the conversation. And this is my friend,
Kelly. And I'm also from Southwestern Ontario, and but a little farther south.
Yes.
A little farther.
And she's back in Southwestern Ontario.
And I am back. I'm not in BC this week.
No.
We got back Sunday night. We had a fantastic trip out there with our daughter and her husband and my two grandpuppies. And so we're happy to be back, but it was lovely to get away. So hi to everybody. Mary's waving. Hi, Mary.
Yeah, hi, Mary. Janie, Valerie, Klaska, Barb, Rosemary, Luana. Jan, Janie, Trudy, Mary, Catherine, Susan, Lillian, Nicole, Susie, Emily, Sheila. Did I say Luana? I think I did.
I said Luana.
Did you say Luana? Okay. Heather, Deborah. So welcome everybody. Welcome to everybody that, usually joins us on a regular basis, and anybody new, we're so glad that you joined us. I see Jacqueline's here, Kathy, Sherry, Marianne, Nikki. That's
Julia's
awesome.
Here.
Zoe says hi.
Oh, hi, Zoe.
I have to tell you a little story about Zoe. Zoe is my 3.5-year-old granddaughter. Well, this weekend we had a shower for my son's fiance, and Jacqueline's in London, and Zoe and Jacqueline were invited, but they couldn't make it. And Zoe just couldn't understand what a shower was. She said, "Well, do we bring an umbrella?"
Oh.
So they're trying to explain to her, no, it's a shower and you get showered with gifts. And she goes, "They put the gifts in the shower?"
Oh.
So she was having a really hard time understanding that concept, but
so
hopefully
cute.
She'll get to go to a shower sometime soon.
Yes, hopefully. Well, I think, we can start to go to all the things again, or in small numbers. Ontario has finally opened back up, and that's all good. It's all good. So BC was a little more open than Ontario. And so masks are optional in BC, still mandatory in Ontario. But I will say that anytime I went out, it was just my habit. I grabbed my mask while I was in BC, and I wore that into some stores. But
it will be a long time before I go to a store or someplace where there's lots of people without wearing a mask.
Well, you know what?
Even after they say you can,
I was really surprised to see that even though it was up to you to wear one, how many people were still wearing them. The vast majority of people were still wearing them. So I thought that was pretty good to see. But we've got some more people jumped in. Sue's here, Kathy, Becky. Ewa's here from Kincardine. Margot.
Michelle from Sydney. And Michelle says that Sydney is in strict lockdown. Yeah, I see that, Michelle, when I watch the news. It's, I don't know, some of the things about this Delta variant are pretty scary, how quickly it spreads. And it's, not a good thing. Nicole says her COVID numbers are going back up. I'm not sure. Where are you, Nicole? I know a lot of places in the States are starting to go back up too. So, hopefully, I know we should be good at least for the summer when a lot of things that you go or do are outside.
Yes.
So then, they're talking about once we get back into September and kids go back to school who can't be vaccinated, that it might get a little scary then. So
Mary said that she was hoping I would bring the rain to BC, and I'm sure you were. That was the first thing I noticed, Mary, once we got back to Ontario, after seeing a week of everything brown, and I mean brown. There's not a bit of green out there. And then we pulled back into Courtright. It's funny, I hadn't noticed it on the highway because there's a lot of fields and things on the highway. But once we got back into Courtright, and I'm looking around, and I said, well, it doesn't look like anybody is suffering from a drought here. Our grass is so green and luscious, and it's crazy to see what it looks like in BC. My heart goes out to you. I hope you get some rain soon. Hi, Sarah. Sarah's here, and Nikki.
Hi, Sarah. Lise from Gatineau, Quebec. Linda. Yeah, that's nice to see everybody here. So what's everybody working on? Shifty things?
Shifty
I actually
things?
took a break from my shifty things this week because, well, I just thought too, I have, I was just thinking about the other day and thinking I have lots of time. My son's birthday's on August 6th and I'm going to do him a pair of socks. And I kept thinking I have lots of time. And then I'm thinking
Today's
July
the 27th. Yes, it's getting there. I took so much knitting. I don't know. I always do this. Does everybody else do this? You over anticipate the knitting time you're going to have when you travel. I packed
always
knitting bags to burn. And of course, I cast this one lonely sock on. I cast it on while we were on the plane. This is all I have to show for a week. A week. She kept me really busy, my daughter. There was so much, well, the construction of the room, and then there was all of the shopping for the room, and then the sewing of the room, and then more washing. You know, I have to get all the things ready in the room, and everything's hanging in the closet. And so now we're basically just waiting for baby. Everything is ready to go. And I really wanted to say a thank you to everybody for welcoming Kendall last week. She sat in with us. She said, well, Mom, I don't know. I don't knit. So I said, oh no, I think people would like to meet you. It's, you know, everybody likes to get to know one another. And I said, you know, you don't have to stay for the whole thing if you don't like, just pop in and say hello. And then she ended up staying for the whole show. So it was good. It was very nice to have her involved with all of you. And it's fun, you know, that we get to share our lives a little bit with all of you, our friends, our interweb friends.
Yep. I'm just looking at what everybody's making here. So Valerie just did another modified anchor tee. Julia finished her Christmas shifty cowl. Yes, Julia, it's beautiful. Did you see it on Instagram?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And now she's doing a Tanya by Caitlin Hunter. I love the Tanya pattern. Trudy's knitting teddy bears. And Mary's taking a short break from her shifty and she's making rocket stuffies. That's one thing I've never made. Well, I did. I made Jacqueline like a ballerina doll like back years ago when she was like 12. And I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing this again. Oh, Sarah finished her Guthrie.
It's beautiful. I did. You know, I'll admit, I took a bit of a social media break last week too. I was barely on. I didn't post anything. It was just, it's kind of nice to take a break once in a while too. And so I have some catching up to do with all of you, but I did pop in a little bit this morning quickly. And so I saw some of the things that you were just listing. And I did see Sarah's Guthrie, and it's beautiful faded colors. It's absolutely gorgeous. And also today I saw some pretty highly technical surgery that Julia was doing on her Tenya. I think she had about 6 or 7 rows. She found a mistake in her lace and she pulled it all back out, and she had them going in all different directions on a board, and she performed a perfect surgery and she got herself back on track. She wasn't going to tink it out. And that's fun to see. I will do that too, but I don't know. I think she had 16 stitches down that she was taking out in lace. So it's brave and successful. It was great.
Yeah, but you can't do it. You just have to take it a step at a time. Like, you know, you're just going to work the rows up the same way that you work them, and just, it's still, even though it takes time, it's still a whole lot less time than ripping everything out and starting all over.
Marianne's working on another ranunculus. I still don't have my first one even started. Shame on me. That was my plan at the beginning of summer with some nice cotton yarn. Now I'll be ready to make one out of wool again.
That's right. Linda's working on some socks, and Margot's working on her half and half wrap, or second half and half wrap. I'm tempted by that, but I just haven't cast one on.
It's a lot of stockinette knitting, right?
Is it stockinette or is it garter? Whoever's doing it, is it stockinette or garter? I honestly can't remember.
I thought it was stockinette.
It might be.
Every time I see it, I always think about that European road trip shawl, which is what you have on.
Yeah, I'll show you this in a minute. But
it's a ton of knitting, and I've just never been into it.
But this is stockinette, right? So it was, okay, this is my European road trip shawl. It's huge. And this is, I actually cut it down a little because I'm barely 5 foot tall, so I really didn't need it the full length. I also cut out
this week. You're barely 5 feet tall. I recall asking you last week, and you were holding tough that you were exactly 5 feet tall. And this week you're barely
this week
5 feet tall.
I'm barely 5 feet tall. If I'm honest, I'm barely 5 feet tall. And I also cut out stitches this way. Mine's done in Holstgarn Coast, which is awesome for this and so affordable. Like the original one by S. Tricot is done in Jade Sapphire Silk, which is a cashmere blend, and it's gorgeous, but it's pretty pricey. So this one's done in Coast, and Coast is soft. Like once you wash it and it blooms, like it's really soft. And this is like so versatile because you can even do it like this and wrap it around and then tie it at the back. And then just kind of bring it down over your shoulders. And it makes a really nice wrap that way. Or you can just have it around and like you can tie it like this, right? And then bring it around the front.
Yep.
Or just over your shoulders, or, like this. Wrapped around.
Or it's just perfect for a plane when you need a little something
over your shoulders.
Yes. Yeah. I like to travel with larger shawls when I'm flying. That sounds so funny to say when I'm flying, because now I have again. It's crazy. Yeah. So this is, I like an super easy knitting. So it's easy knitting for the summer. You don't have to think about what you're doing. This was 3 balls of the Holstgarn Coast, which are 50-gram balls. But that was to make it a little bit smaller. There's a huge amount of yardage in those Coast balls
350 meters.
A while. Yeah.
Yeah. So Lisa's she's working on socks and a poncho for a Christmas present. And Barb's working on pair 2 for her son's Christmas gift. So a lot of people are working on Christmas gifts.
It's Christmas in July.
It is. I have to get, and I have to do my son's socks, and I have to get these ones done by July 31st. And that's all I've got done so far. But I can do it. I think.
And Tracy's working on her shifty sweater, and she said this time she has dry feet. I did see that picture that Tracy posted where she was on her dock. And she had her feet in the water and the knitting in her hands. You're a trooper.
Yep.
Hot days.
Emily says she has 2 inches left of the body of her linen top. Oh, that you should get it done because you can wear it now, Emily.
Yeah.
And then Sherry said she dropped some stitches in the I-cord edge on her shift in section 5. Oh, and she couldn't fix it. She had to frog it and start over.
Oh, no.
At least it's fun knitting.
Yes.
So
I haven't picked mine up again since I've been home. I didn't take that with me. I might have bought a little yarn. I made it out. I had offers too, and I feel really badly because I was hoping to have had more time. I had some offers from people to meet up with them while I was out there, and even had an offer of a drive out to some yarn stores. And I am terribly sorry. We had blinders on, like I said, we were working really hard on the baby's room. And then I think the rest of the time I spent cooking. I was trying to give Kendall a nice break. So we had, lots of fun around the table in the evenings, eating some good food. That's kind of what we did. We worked, we ate, we worked, we ate. But I did make it out. We had just 2 afternoons off. We went one afternoon down to Granville Island. And on our way out of there, we stopped in,
Wet Coast Wools.
Yes, but I was trying to think of the name. Anyway, Kit Solano.
Oh,
we stopped in
okay,
there.
okay.
Yeah. So we stopped there and we went to West Coast Wools, and it has changed hands. And so I met. Recently. So I met Margot, and she's absolutely lovely. So I bought a few items from there, and something else popped in the mail today. Get your socks going, people, because we have some new sock prizes for our monthly sock along. Look at these babies. These are from Full Moon Fibers. This one is Beach Umbrella and Why Didn't You Coral Me Back, which is a super fun name. And these are their 50-50 socks. So you get 50 grams of each color. And these are fun if you wanted to do like the alternating stripes. So there's this one, and then there's also Once in a Blue Moon. Look at that color. It's popping. Look at those purples. Beautiful colors. So these are headed for the sock along prize. So keep knitting, people.
Oh, Mary wants to know if you went on that barbecue raft thingy.
No. No, apparently it's a 2-hour thing.
Apparently it's a fire hazard.
Yeah, your dinghy's on fire, lady. My daughter said there was no way she could go 2 hours without a bathroom. So
Yep.
But anyway.
Okay, Gwen says that she is off Sleeve Island. Yay!
Yay!
And she says she has to knit like crazy to finish the body of the Midori pullover. I've heard of that one, and I know it, but I can't offhand think of which one it is. So Barb says she better add the pair that she just finished. Oh yeah, you got to remember to put your pairs in. Don't just finish them. Put them in the thread on Ravelry.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Oh, and Linda just popped in here. She's cooking while listening in. Oh, trying to make use of her 15-year collection of Bon Appetit magazine. Well, we ordered pizza tonight. So we had family things and food all weekend, and it was just time to just do something easy. So,
well, I had an appointment after work, so I didn't have really much time. So I've had a handful of peanuts and and a handful of cherries, because cherries are in season right now, and I can't stop eating them.
Yep,
no word of a lie. They are the best. They're so good this year. I cannot stop.
Now, are peaches out yet? Or is it still a little early?
I like peaches, but I really like it if somebody else peels them for me. I don't like the way the skin feels, and I will not have it in my mouth.
No, I don't mind the skin.
No.
Anyway.
I like a nectarine better.
Well.
No fuzz.
I don't know. Peaches taste better.
I think they taste the same, don't they?
I don't think they taste the same, but.
I think they do.
Sarah said peaches are out. Okay, that's good.
Peaches are out. Okay.
But peach crisp, Kelly. Oh, peach crisp is so good.
I've never had that.
It's so good, especially when the peaches are just like nice and fresh and they're kind of tart, and then you get that crumbly topping with the oats and pecans on top, and so good.
Decadent. I made this thing. Has anybody else tried this? I saw it on TikTok. I thought we had to try it. It's called whipped frozen lemonade. Has anybody else heard of this? This is like a new drink thing for the summer. So it's not healthy. I'm going to say that. Let's preface it with this. So you buy some whipping cream and you whip this up, and then in a blender you put lots of ice, some of the whipped cream, a little bit of vanilla, the juice of 2 or 3 lemons, like squeeze the lemons really well. And then you put in like a 1/4 of a tin of Eagle brand, and you just blend this into a frozen drink. You can have it with a straw, or you can just have it with a spoon like we did. It is so flipping refreshing. It was just amazing. It's really tart.
Good.
Yeah, it's really tart. The lemon really comes through, and it's absolutely delicious. So we had that out there.
I'll have to look that up.
It was fun, and it was kind of fun to make. It was a little bit different. Her dogs really liked it. They kept mooching out of my bowl. And who would think that a dog would like something really tart? But it was absolutely delicious.
Okay, I'm like 2 rows in, and I'm already going, where am I? Whatever. Oh, yeah, Tracy, that would be a great idea to add a little limoncello.
Okay, Tracy, I was totally thinking that, or
Tracy,
vodka.
do you have any?
Yeah, I was thinking limoncello or vodka would work. So, and there, I have Eve was with me on the peach skin, right? I don't like that.
It doesn't bother me at all. So
The fuzz?
Yeah, it doesn't taste like fuzz. It just, I don't know.
Yes, it does. Why do you think?
Wonder if there's a correlation. I wonder
peach?
if there's a correlation between if you like the fuzz on a peach and you like rustic yarn.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Because I don't do rustic, or not too terribly rustic anyway.
And so peach skins are rustic.
Peach fuzz.
Peach fuzz. Okay, I'll just put the knitting down because it has to be done by the end of July, and I don't need to be fixing mistakes. So, and it's too hot to have the shawl on.
It's cold.
Okay, so I also got some yarn from Rose Hill Yarns, and some of it's going to be prizes. Some of it I'm keeping, but I'm not sure what yet. So I'll show you some of the colors. They're gorgeous. And her yarns come in the sets that they've got a 50 gram and a 20 gram. Mm-hmm. So there's basically enough to knit a pair of women's socks, right? So this color is actually from my granddaughters, and it's called Ice Cream Sprinkles. So this one comes with the green mini, and then I got another one with the purple mini.
I love those colors. It's so
pretty. The speckles are just amazing. Anyway, and then all of her colors are just. This one's called Barn Owl, mm-hmm. and it's like a taupey color, but then the color in here's got like blues and browns and taupes and light blues. It's really pretty. This one is called In a Flutter.
That's pretty.
Yeah, I really like that.
That's really pretty.
And this one is called Peach. They were just talking about peaches. This one's called Peach Meringue.
That doesn't look fuzzy.
No, it doesn't look. Do you want me to taste it?
Well, I don't think you'd like the taste of that.
I'm not going to taste it. Okay, this one is called Classic Peonies. This is so pretty. It's got like an olivey green, and then it's got the roses and the pinks in the main skein.
Mm-hmm. I like that one.
And then this is one, Mary, you'll recognize this one, but I had to get it again. This is one of the ones that we sent out as a prize, and this is called Tidewater.
Yes.
And it's just so pretty with the gray and the aquas, and yeah, gorgeous yarn. So that's Rose Hill Yarns, and it's nice to get the smaller set like that, because like realistically it will do, like I would say a woman's sock probably up to about a size 10. Like you just might have to adjust how many rows you're doing in the actual leg part, but there's definitely enough in here for your heels, toes, and cups, because I finished my the Sunday afternoon ones, and I actually had yarn left over. I actually could have even made them a little bit bigger.
And did you do the cuffs in the coordinating color too?
Yep, cuff, heel, and toe. Yep.
Okay.
So I think I have it sitting there. Just a minute.
Oh, here you go, Noelle. Margot said that her son found a worm in a peach when he was 2 years old, and he has never eaten a peach since. And that was 30 years ago. Well, I don't blame him. I'd be hard pressed to try that again too.
Yeah, I would too. There's the.
Oh, that's right.
So
you did do the cuff. Okay.
So there's both of them. So yes, heels, toes, and cuffs. And I had some left. So I could have done the cuff longer if I had wanted to. And I still had some left of this as well. So I could have put in more, definitely would have been enough for a larger foot, right? Because my foot's not that long, but there was definitely enough for a larger foot. So, and then it's nice not to have a whole lot of yarn left over after you're done the socks. Mm-hmm. So.
Mary wants to know, what do you call it when a sock is on island knitting time? She started her birthday socks with that duo, and she didn't get very far before she got caught up on her shifty. Well, I don't know.
Well, it's second sock syndrome if you do one sock and don't start the other, but I don't know what it is if you only do part of a sock and then don't. Go back to it. It's called a languishing whip.
Languishing. I have a few of those.
Sarah says,
I think I was bragging not too long ago about not having too many whips, and now I think I've got more than my fair share of whips, and things I want to cast on.
Julia says you just call it shift happens.
Shift happens.
Totally, I agree with that, Julia. I have another shifty project that I'm going to start this week, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's just going to be a surprise.
Okay.
But I was
Well,
out
we
picking
still have
a
all
month.
of August. To
I
get
know,
our
but I
shifting
still have to finish my socks, but I'm on the second one. My
Okay.
cowl is done.
Yeah.
Still got to do my sweater. But I had to do a baby sweater as a gift, but that's done. I have to knit my son's socks. I better get knitting. Anyway, we'll see.
Okay, here's a question for the group. Barb is using magic loop socks instead of 9-inch circulars, and she's getting a little bit of laddering on the side, and she's wondering if anybody has any tips for that. I don't have any tips. For that.
Some things that
The
I've
only
read
time I've seen laddering is sometimes if I would do color work on the on like as a magic loop, I would get a little bit of laddering. But if I were just doing the socks, I didn't. So I don't really have any tips.
Some things that I've read on it says that a lot of people tighten up that first stitch when you get onto the second part of it, and that it's actually a better idea to tighten up the second stitch. And if you have trouble with ladders, that's supposed to help it. But I'm okay with it, so I haven't had that, so I haven't had to try it, but that's what I heard. Yeah, Emily said that too. She said, I heard to tighten up the second stitch when you switch needles, and that'll help to tighten up that gap. So,
all right. Well, we'll be interested to see how that works out for you, Barb. Let us know.
Yeah, and actually, Sherry said that Margaret Olander has a great tutorial for it. Yeah, sometimes you don't even think of, I could just type that in and see if anybody's, like, I don't think of it for everything. So,
right.
Yep.
Good.
Oh, and go back to Julia says she suspects what I make might be fingerless mitts. I'll just have to wait and see.
I was thinking the same thing, Julia, because she said she's got the cowl. I know she has a hat. Now she's got the socks. Just the mitts are missing.
We'll see.
Carolyn says I shouldn't apologize for not getting things done because it was good to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
It was. It was really nice. I've missed them. Oh my gosh, I've missed them. It's been way too long.
Well, this was like when we were at my sister's for my mom's 87th birthday on Sunday, and Sunday was a gorgeous day, and we were all in the backyard, and my brother had come home from Red Deer, and my other brother and his wife had come home from Halliburton, and we have not seen them. We have not seen them for what before. It would have been months before, because we don't see them on a regular basis. It would have been months before the pandemic even started. So probably 2 years, you know, and like Isla, my little granddaughter is she's not quite 2.5. So like when they saw her, she was a tiny baby, and now she's running around all over the place. And that's the thing, like even like we said to each other, it almost felt normal. So
yeah, it did. It's honestly been really nice lately just to be able to see people again and do a little bit of things too, right? Like just to have those small freedoms, or that, you know, that little bit of normalcy in our lives, right? Of what we're used to doing, the things that bring us joy. So, I lost it. Somebody was
looks
saying,
like lots of people are saying that that tightening up the second stitch. And then someone said there was another tutorial? Oh, Sarah was saying, how about using traveling loop instead? Try shifting your first stitch. Yeah, you can do that too. So you're not breaking at the same point every time. Like when you do the magic loop, you kind of move where you pull the loop through. So, oh, Valerie's binding off.
Yay, Valerie.
Yeah.
Ewa was mentioning that, I'll show this one too. Speaking of shifty projects, Andrea Mowry's birthday sale is coming up on or around August the 1st.
Okay.
So if there's some patterns that you're interested, she usually does a birthday sale. So if you're still looking for any of those patterns, they should be coming up on sale. Thank you, Ewa, for pointing that out. I have a hard enough time remembering my own birthday, let alone somebody else's. Oh, goodness.
Mary said she just got to see her grandson yesterday that she hasn't seen in 1.5 years. Yeah, that's nice. And Tracy says she hadn't seen her oldest son in 8 months and picked him up for the train station. She bawled like a baby. I know. It's not even just the grandkids and the babies. Like, I miss my kids.
Yeah.
Like we used to spend a whole lot of time together, and it's just been just been not fun.
No.
So,
Like I said, I'm already dreading because we're planning, to return in October when the baby's born. And I'm already dreading how hard it's going to be to leave that time. It was hard this time. It was really hard to leave. And I don't know, just couldn't seem to let go of each other at the airport. You're just hanging on. But anyway.
Even when Jacqueline lived in Toronto, and this was like when she would have been like in her 20s, and I'd go down to visit her. And again, I'd be waiting in the Toronto train station to get my train, and she would come over and have to go back, and she had to go to work or something. And I'd almost be bawling because I had to go home and wasn't going to see her for a couple of weeks. And, and that's, your kids are, adults, but
yeah,
it's just.
Yep. It's tough. It's tough. It really is. And, there are people I know that are worse off than me that haven't seen their family in a longer time. So I'm not going to sit here and cry the blues and think I've got the worst story ever. I know. Lots of other people.
Yeah. My sister's daughter lives in San Diego, and they have 2 little kids that are 7 and 4. And like, that's another country, right? So she doesn't even know when it's going to be that they can actually go there, or when her daughter can actually come here. Mm-hmm. So like, that's hard not to see the kids, but like, luckily for this time, like our technology, like at least we've got FaceTime or Zoom or whatever. So at least you still get a little bit of time with them, but depending on the age of the kids, like you don't get a whole lot of conversation. So.
Yeah. Sydney, Australia, back in lockdown. And she said that she's really feeling the isolation. Knitting helps.
Yeah. Well, I know I've certainly knitted a lot over the past year and a half. So, and Marianne says,
I mentioned this last week, but I'm going to mention it again, just for anybody that wasn't on the chat last week. But when we flew out to BC, I was knitting on the plane, of course. And one of the flight attendants came by, and he says, I love to see people knitting on the plane. It makes everybody around you feel instantly calm. So I don't know if that's true. Does that help people?
I don't know, but maybe it makes me feel calm if I'm knitting. I don't know.
Exactly. Well, that's what I mean. It makes me feel calm.
It makes Ross feel calm if I'm knitting.
Does it?
Well, because he knows, okay, good, she's knitting. She might not need more drugs for a while. So I know it does. I know it does calm him down when he knows I'm calm enough to knit. So, and Marianne, says she has adult kids, and they love their mommy juice too. Yeah, that's true. So,
we flew home on one of the new WestJet Dreamliners, and I mean, it's very similar to like if you're flying overseas and you get on like the big KLM flights or whatever. So it was a row of seats, like three columns down the plane, three, and 3. And so we were on an outside window, but it was spanky new, this plane. It was so shiny. And they have a few interesting little upgrades. So, normally in the windows, you pull the shade down, put the shade up, pull the shade down, up. Now they just have this nice little button underneath the window, and you just push it to darken it. And it's like transition lensing the window. So the window just got darker and darker and darker. You could take it right down to a night where you could actually look at the sun right through the window. So that was kind of a neat little upgrade. And the screen on the back of the seat was quite a bit bigger, and more power jacks, and in a convenient spot to charge your devices, like not normally, they're kind of tucked underneath the arm, and you practically have to stand on your head to plug your device in. These are right there in front of you. And even the call button for the flight attendant is now on the screen instead of the overhead button. So it was just interesting to see. I don't know. It felt weird. Like, I'm not going to lie. It felt very strange being in the airport again too. And
I don't know if I want it. I want old, tried and true tested planes.
Well, I don't know. I liked this new one, and I was thinking, well, this will have a really good air system, a nice air filtration system.
Well,
but anyway, it was very nice. It was a beautiful plane, and it flew just across Canada. So this is interesting because typically on the Canadian flights, you might get to 600 miles per hour, but this one was like cruising along at a solid 700.
Okay.
And so we made it.
So was it a shorter time to get there?
Yeah, we made it home in 3.5 hours. And it was 4.5 hours going. Now, I know it's because of the jet stream, the going there is always longer, but I just thought this was kind of a nice plane. And it just, like how big the plane was and sort of how many amenities it had. And then that it's just inner country. Like typically you'd be on a smaller plane. So
was it Air Canada or was it WestJet?
WestJet, Barb.
WestJet?
Yeah, WestJet. And had my wipes and everything ready. I mean, I travel with wipes anyway. I'm going to wipe that plane down pre-pandemic, and I will wipe it down post-pandemic. But they meet you at the door now with your wipes to clean your area. And I said, oh, well, I brought my own, but I'll take one of yours. And no, it was good. Everything was good. It wasn't very busy when we traveled either. So maybe that was helpful. The planes were full, but the airport didn't seem overwhelmingly busy. So that might have been helpful too.
Well, apparently, like when my brother got here, I think he was WestJet and he was flying from either Edmonton or Calgary. And it was WestJet because they changed his flight or changed something. Well, because they changed his flight, it screwed up his rental car. And so because he was late going to get the rental car, they had none left, none. So he's at the airport 11 o'clock at night. He was staying in a hotel that night and then going to drive the next day because he didn't want to drive tired. And they told him, I'm sorry you weren't here, so we gave your car away and we don't have any for the rest of the whole weekend. This was on Thursday.
Oh, goodness.
So, but I heard that that's a thing because of whatever these chips are that go in all the new cars. There's been a problem with the manufacturing. So even new cars in general is really difficult to get.
Yeah.
So
the supply chains for everything, it's absolutely broken, or badly fractured, if not broken, really badly fractured.
Yeah.
So it's hard to imagine the ripple effect, that something has across how many points of our life that are affected, not just, the immediate thinking of the pandemic for what the pandemic is, but all of the other ways that it has affected our lives, right? Well,
the hard thing to get in the grocery store now is Pam spray.
Oh, really?
Yes. And my sister told me that and I didn't believe her. So I thought, okay, I'm going to pick her up. So I know it's in the store. Well, every time I've been in since then, they do not have it. So anyway, Julia says that ever since last year, her husband is a regional commercial pilot. And he said the planes have never looked better. The groomers are really cleaning things. That's good. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, it was very clean. I felt very safe.
Barb says her cousin flies for Air Canada. So, oh yeah. And Luana says she's waiting 4 months for a freezer. I know, Luana, my son moved last September from an apartment to a house. So they had to get all of their appliances. They ordered a stove and a fridge. Now, mind you, they wanted a fridge that was like the black matte finish and whatever. But anyways, they ordered that in July. They got it last month. So it was over a year to get that fridge. So now, luckily, my other son had a fridge that they could use in the meantime. But yeah, it's and Sarah says outdoor furniture. And the sales guy said that the prices are going to go up because of supply chain issues. So yeah, and shipping, I'm sure, has increased because there's so many things that are being shipped now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been reading some articles in the news about purchasing furniture because that's kind of front and center as we renovate our living room. I'm going to be shopping for some new furniture, and I've been reading that give up on that. And the tariffs that they've added to the furniture is increasing the furniture by sometimes 40%. That's huge. So we might be sitting on our lawn furniture for the winter. I don't know. It's comfy.
Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty comfy. It's big padded cushions.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Elaine. Elaine says, welcome back. Thank you, Elaine.
Carla said the same thing about the car. She said she reserved and prepaid for a rental car and was told that they had none. That's terrible. Like if you've prepaid for it, I don't see how they can give it away to anyone. Like, it's not enough just to say, here's your money back. Like, that's.
No, that isn't enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And Sarah says NAFTA 2.0 has impacted prices. So luckily, if anything happens to yarn, I think I have enough.
That's right. If there is a yarn shortage, I think I'll be okay.
I think I'll be okay.
I think I'd be okay. I don't know, for several years, maybe.
I'll be okay till I die. So, let's face it, truth of the matter.
Yes.
I'm not going to get through all this yarn.
No.
Anyway, but I'm going to try.
I'm going to keep working at it. I'm going to make it my life goal to knit through my stash. I'm never getting through there.
No. Okay,
Never.
but I did finish something this week. Here's my, check the back and the front. This is my Peep Show pullover.
It's so pretty.
So that's by More Thunder on Instagram, who is Morgan. I can't say her last name.
More Thunder.
Well, it's More Thunder, but that's not her last name, I don't think.
I thought that was her last name.
I don't know. Maybe.
I think that's her last name.
This is done in Full Moon Fibers, Moon Rock Slub, and that color is called Lavender Fields. It's so pretty. It's not showing up exactly on here, but it's like kind of like pale greens with all the lavender going through it. And then these little drop stitches are in Lichen and Lace 80/20 sock, and that color is called Sugar Plum. So I love it. I love it. I love the feel of the yarn. There's only you can knit this yarn at a looser gauge.
Yes.
And because of the slub, it still is substantial. Like, I don't need to wear something underneath it. Well, a bra, but I don't need to wear like a camisole or anything underneath it. So
I think slub yarn it's one of those yarns that, like, you see it, you might like the concept. I don't like the word. I do not like the term slub yarn. All I think about are snail slugs in my garden. But I think that you feel like you've got to have a project in mind for it. But then when you see it knit up, you realize how
so
flexible and how usable it is.
I did alternate skeins just because I just didn't want to end up with any problems. So I did alternate skeins. I did a new bind off down here. It's called the Icelandic bind off. So it's a bind off that mirrors your long tail twisted cast on.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And I really liked it, but you only get a little tiny bit of it. So I didn't do it for the sleeve. For the sleeve, I still did my tubular because I just like how that looks on a sleeve. But because I had done the neck as a German twisted, I wanted it to match down here on the hem.
Did you cast on just with the pink? Is that what I'm seeing?
It's cast. Yes, it's just cast on with the Sugar Plum, and then you go right into the slub.
The nubbies in the slub. Is that why you did that?
It was in the pattern.
Okay.
Yep. The pattern did call for you to do that and to edge the sleeves and to edge the bottom. But you're right. It probably gives a nicer finished edge than having that slub in your edges.
Now, what pattern or what weight did the pattern actually call for?
It's actually done. Hers is actually done in a slub yarn.
Oh, is it? Okay, because I'm sure I've seen it not in slub, and I just wondered if you made a.
No, hers is, but my gauge is actually a little bit bigger, and so I actually adjusted and did smaller than the smallest size, like not by a lot, but I knew I didn't want it baggy. I wanted it just and it does. It fits just nicely. Comes to exactly where I wanted it, just the very top of my hip bone. And and Susan says she doesn't enjoy knitting with the slub yarn. I find because this is actually a fingering weight yarn, but I did it on a 4mm needle. I find when you've got it on a bigger needle like that, then, like fingering like you do socks on a 2.25, I find it's easier to work on the bigger needle. It would be harder if you were on a smaller needle, I think. So.
Margot, I like that name better. She said some dyers call it cobblestone instead of slub.
Yeah, cobblestoner. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
good point, Julia. Julia's gone back to the car reservation. She said it's like a Seinfeld episode. It's a You can just hear Jerry, that whiny voice too. It's a reservation. I don't think you understand the definition. I reserved the car. It should be here.
Yeah.
But it's true. Seriously, if you pay online for it, you expect it to be there. So, oh well. Joys of travel.
That's right.
I think this is the first time that okay, I don't know if I should tell this story or not.
Does it involve knitting in the car while you're driving?
No. Yeah, I definitely can't. The O'Connors have a long history of travel hiccups. And it's funny because I know that when we used to have these travel hiccups, Derek, my son-in-law, would always say, I don't understand. Like, you must be the only family that this happens to. You know, I know lots of people that travel and nobody else has these hiccups. And then he traveled with us and they came to Arizona and they flew into the wrong airport. So their car reservation was at Phoenix Airport at Sky Harbor, and they flew into Mesa and couldn't figure out why they had no car rental there. And Mesa, let me point out, the Mesa is like a little regional airport. So it would be like the size of the Sarnia Airport. So there's no car rental agencies. There's nothing. And they got there sort of at closing time, like the last flight of the day at 5:00. And somebody took pity on them, one of the people working there, and actually said, oh, well, I live in Phoenix. I'll take you to Sky Harbor where your car is. So very nice, very, very generous of somebody to do that. But so there was that issue. And then when they flew home, they had a problem. Their flight they couldn't get onto their flight. So they had to reroute. And they, instead of flying to Seattle, which is where they had left their car, they drove across the border and went from Seattle. They had to fly to Los Angeles first and then back. They flew into Seattle, but their car was actually in Bella's up north.
Yes.
Something like that into Washington. And that's where their car was. So then they had to take a shuttle to get back to where their car was. And I mean, it wasn't funny. It wasn't funny at all. It was
none of it's funny at the time.
But I say to Derek, I said, someday when you're all done being angry about your last 48 hours, imagine the fun story this is going to be. He didn't see the humor in it, but
no.
Anyway, it is what it is. We all have travel hiccups.
Anyway, Klaska says she made a ranunculus with the slub, and it's Sear, but I think she probably means Surrey.
Surrey?
Not Siri. Surrey. Don't call Siri. And it turned out really nice. I know I have to finish some of my sweaters that need sleeves. When I was doing this one, I actually ordered just from Amazon, some of those little, what's the company name? Clover.
Yes.
That has knitting tools, like those little cords that have a little needle on one end that you can hook your sleeves on, put your sleeves on.
I have some of those too.
They're so much nicer than putting it on a piece of yarn.
They just enable you. They just enable you to prolong the sleeve knitting, Noelle.
No, they don't, because my other ones
do.
How does it?
Because you say, oh, this is so nice. This is so convenient. I don't need to get back to knitting it anytime soon. And you know how
I used it on these and it's done.
Yeah. Okay. There are no sleeves on there. That's what I was going to say. If you want to avoid knitting on Sleeve Island and getting stuck on Sleeve Island, all you have to do is just keep knitting short sleeve sweaters. And then you don't have any sleeve issues.
No, but I'm saying if I make myself only have sleeves on those ones that I've got, then I have to knit some of them to get them back for another sweater.
But you won't. You'll just say, oh, I'll use yarn for that.
No, I won't. I'll say I'll order some more.
And Tracy uses interchangeable cords. And I've done that too. I have some short cords. So I just use those too. And you put the bumpers on the end of them.
Yeah.
I've done that
I don't know. I just really like these because they were nice and flexible. And it was easy to try It was easy to try on with those on the sleeve.
Yes.
So I bought a couple of the ones that will fit for like sleeves. And then I actually bought a couple that are like 36 inch. So you can put half your stitches on it if you want to try on, if you've got like stitches around the body.
Yes. Yeah. I have one of those too. And there's a little needle on the other end, right? That's what you're talking about? Yes.
Yes.
It is pretty handy.
Yeah. So anyway, Mary wanted to know if I do 2 at a time sleeves. No, I don't do 2 at a time anything. I don't do 2 at a time socks. Don't do 2 at a time sleeves. I just find I'm faster knitting 1 at a time. And Sleeves, I actually, you know what, for sleeves, I usually am faster on the second one. It's just getting that first one done and putting in all my markers where deciding how long I want it to be and putting in the markers where I'm doing decreases or increases, depending on what size you're going to. I find once it's done, the second sleeve goes just like that. Like I have no problem getting to the second sleeve. And it's the same with socks. Once I get the first one done, I'm usually really quick about getting the second one done.
I used to do 2 at a time socks all the time. And then I don't know why I stopped. I stopped and I went back to doing 1. But now I'm so hooked on these 9-inch circulars. That's my favorite thing now.
But you could do them in tandem. Like have 2 9-inch circulars and go so far on one and then
but
so
that's
far on the
putting
other.
something down, picking something else up. The whole idea was, they're on the needles. You whip around, you get 2 done. It's how you can avoid second sock syndrome, but it does take it. I don't know. It just feels like it takes longer. And somehow I think it's like a trick of the mind to like whip through a sock, right?
Yeah.
Not that I'm whipping a week. That's all I have to show.
So Barb says she bought some pony bead lacing to hold her stitches.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is. Well, I do. I think it's that lacing stuff that kids use to do. I think. I don't know for sure. But Valerie says she just tinked her bind up and tried the Icelandic and she loves it. So perfect. I know it's so cool. And it does. It looks exactly like a long tail cast on. So,
you're too fast, Valerie. You're too fast.
Mary says she wants to master the tubular bind off, and then she's on to Sleeve Island.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get off that island. So
Klaska wants to know what I do when I get to the heel. Okay, so it depends on what type of heel I'm doing. So in this case, I did a German short row, and I did it right on the needles. Like you can do a German short row because you never have really any more stitches on your needle. You just have double stitches on. Or this is also called a boomerang heel because you kind of boomerang the heel out and then you flip and then you decrease, or not decrease, but you do your double stitches to come back in. So that I just leave right on the 9-inch circular. If I'm doing an afterthought heel, that stays on the 9-inch circular too, because then I would just put in that case, I would just put a waste yarn in on half where I'm going to cut the heel in when I'm done. And if I'm doing a heel flap and gusset, you can do that on a 9-inch too. You're just going back and forth on like the half of the stitches. So you can go back and forth on your 9-inch circular. It would be tight. It might be tight. I mean, I know Louise does that all the time. And it does get tight, but if you're comfortable holding more stitches on here, then you can do that. So.
Oh, you mean like when you've got it all on for once you picked up the stitches for the heel flap?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you do have quite a few stitches then.
You do have a lot of stitches, but if you're comfortable having extra stitches on your needle, like it depends on how you hold your needles. And I should point out too, I'm using the, I don't have the envelope down here with me, but these are the C-knits. And these are those little wooden needles. And I do like them. And one is longer. One is longer than the other. So, having said that, like I keep my longer one in my right hand, but I don't feel like it's any shorter in my left hand. And it's just a 1/2 inch difference. So it makes this is actually a 9.5 inch circular, not a 9-inch. And I don't really notice a difference. I feel like I could knit just as easily if I had the short needle on the right hand. I don't think it makes too much of a difference, but I don't know. I really like the 9-inch needle. I just feel like it's compact. It fits in my hand really well and I'm comfortable with it. So, but the ChowGoo, not so much for me because that's how I get finger punctures. These are nice. They have a really gentle rounded tip. I really go there. Nope. That way. There we go. Yep. It's a really nicely rounded tip. So then the other ones that I use all the time are the Haya. The Haya. I don't think Licca makes a 9-inch, do they?
I don't know.
I have the Licca.
I know they have the 16. Yeah, but I don't. Maybe they don't.
But what I really like for a steel needle, and I know that somebody on here suggested it and I got them, and it's my favorite needle, is the Hiya steel. So not the sharp, the steel.
Okay.
And it would be, actually, I think they're on the sock here. Similar, very similar to the thickness of that wood tip. So I really like those.
They're just the same. Those two needles are the same length though, right? On the Hiya.
They're the same height or
so
length.
Is it a 9-inch then?
It's a 9-inch.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's got, you see those tips, see, they're not as sharp. So haven't had a finger puncture.
I like my sharps.
But I push with my fingers, so then I ended up getting a hole, and
I have a couple
hurts.
of times. Yeah, I have a couple of times, but not very often.
When it pops through your skin like that.
Oh, I know. It hurts.
And then it takes days to get it healed. Days. So then you try, like you keep knitting because I'm foolish.
Yeah,
and I think that it won't hit the spot. So like I'll think, oh, okay, I'll knit, I'll tap with this part of my finger, I'll do something. And then you're in a few stitches and you forget and you hit the hole again. So
Tracy says she's doing her shifty sleeves 2 at a time so she can kind of match the colors. And she's using 9-inch circs for each in tandem. And that way it's easier to match her decreases.
To do a sleeve, she's doing 9 inches?
Yep.
For a sleeve?
Well, I know Tracy's got the little circulars that you can make, like, I think you can make like 9-inch, 12-inch, 14-inch or something. So, but when you get down to here, you've almost got to be on a 9.
Yeah.
Like you can't really do the cuffs on anything bigger than a 9.
No. And Mary wants to know if I do a pattern on my sock. Yeah, I do. Absolutely. It doesn't. So with this one, what am I doing on here? I just kind of, this is not a pattern. This is just my own. I'm just doing sort of like it doesn't even show on the dark color. You have to go to a lighter color. There you go. You can see it's like 3 little shells stitch, which is kind of something I like to do. And on these ones here, this is a pattern called Mr. Longwood. And it's got quite a pattern on it, like diamonds.
Oh, that's pretty.
Let me see, I can stretch it out. Yeah. And I do that on 9-inch. That doesn't bother me at all. And I don't find that my hand doesn't cramp. I know a lot of people will say that they can't do it for a long period of time, but I think it just, and this is new to me. This is not old. I'm going to say this is within 2 years, because it was Natalie, our friend Natalie, who said, because I had tried them and I said, oh no, I can't stand them. These are too small. They're too fiddly. I can't knit comfortably. And she said, no, you have to do a whole sock. So I actually did. I forced myself to do a whole sock. And now, honestly, it's what I will grab for every single time. It just seems to fit in my hand. I use a pinky underneath there, and that's what I use as a guide. And this hand just kind of tensions my yarn. It doesn't touch the needle at all, except for up here at the top. So I think, everybody knits differently. And I'm throwing too. So, but okay, I am throwing, but if I do a color work sock, I will always use two hands to do color work, and I will still use a 9-inch circular. So I'm equally comfortable bringing the yarn in from the left side on a small circumference needle. If
I'm doing a 9-inch, I'm doing continental.
Yeah.
Even for stocking stitch. So, but on anything else, I'm doing throwing.
So Becky says that Knitter's Pride makes a 10-inch, and there's who else makes the 10-inch? Because we were trying to look, or no, never mind. I'm off on a different thought pattern. Somebody else doesn't make a 2.25. They make a 2.5.
Yeah, that's Addie.
Yep. Right. So the 10-inch would be really good for sleeves. I have 12-inch needles that I use, but obviously I'm using 2 needles there. Or you can use 12 if you're up in the bigger part. So the 10-inch would be the way for sure, Becky. Knitter's Pride. I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Tracy does all of hers. Well, Tracy does all of hers on a 9-inch. So that's the thing that you were saying though, like when you do your heel flap, and you've got more stitches on the needle. So it just depends on how comfortable you are, because I mean, the needle will hold those stitches. It's just a matter of, I guess it's easier when you set it down for stitches to kind of come off the needle, because the circumference of what you're knitting is bigger than the circumference of the needle.
And that's why you get these
need
funky
those
little things from
stoppers.
Coco
That's
Knits.
right.
They look like little marshmallows and they just pop on the end.
Yep.
Those are my favorite things. But unfortunately, I've never found where they just sell the little size. You have to buy the whole
A package
pack.
of mixed
And
ones.
for
Yeah.
the big needles, I don't feel like I really need them. I would just like to buy an entire package of these little guys. That would make me happy. That would bring me joy. That would spark joy. Somebody is talking, Barb is talking about a grippy, a silicone ring. She'll send a photo on Instagram. Okay. Can you pop that to our knit chat too, Barb? Because I'm not sure what it is either. And do you knit, like, do you put it on and knit with it? Curious. Somebody once found these little circular, they're called, I think, a quilter's thimble pad, and it's just a tiny little circle, but it's supposed to be pretty grippy, and it just glues to your finger. So if you were hand quilting, that you would use to push your needle through.
Yeah.
And that would work too. So, or just buy a blunter needles. That definitely helps. I still like my chagoos. I like them, but I do find, like, if I'm working on them for a long time, like the small 2.25s, I will for sure
puncture your finger.
Yeah, I will. And it happens more in the winter.
So I don't think I push. I do occasionally, but not like all the time. So that's probably why. Because I know even Rachel said when I don't even think hers were as sharp as the chagoos, and she was puncturing her finger. But she also knits. She also knits tight, so she's pushing harder. But I probably knit tighter than you do. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it just depends on whatever your process is to move your stitches.
Tracy likes the Coco Knit stoppers too.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
We should just write to them and say, sell a whole pack of the little guys. They honestly look like marshmallows.
Carolyn says that she wouldn't have found our podcast if it wasn't for the pandemic. So there you go. Pandemics are good for something. Not much. But
we're not going to lie. Our following grew through this pandemic.
Well, it's just, I mean, hopefully, like, once the pandemic's over, we're still going to have all these friends that we've met, and that at least something positive has come out of a really negative situation.
Yeah.
So, because we're certainly glad that all of you guys join us every week. It's so nice to be talking to other people about all the stuff that we are doing to get through the pandemic, and just about getting different ideas from everybody.
That's my constant companion, honestly, it is. It's when I'm down here working in the sew studio, I have always podcasts playing on the TV, just kind of, and then new ones come up and I'm like, oh, that's a new one.
Yep.
And it feels like company. Like, it just makes you feel not lonely. It's different than having TV on, like, to watch a show, because I don't usually watch a show. And I may not be totally focused on any podcast either, but you're definitely on in the background. So it's sort of like having company down here when you hear somebody else's voice, right?
Yep. And it's
hi, Lou.
There's so many different patterns, techniques, designers, and it's nice to have someone actually telling you about them instead of just trying to flip through and trying to find things for yourselves. And it's nice to know, like, again, when we talk about techniques and things on here, like what have worked for some people and what works for some people doesn't work for others. But it's nice to try the new techniques and see what does work best for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hi, Lou. Finally caught us live. Yay.
Yay.
Yay. We like it when you're here with us. It's fun. It's fun.
Okay, yeah, Tracy's recommending to try the Hiya Steel Snot Sharps. I think the Hiya that I have are actually even sharper than my Chagoo, so I must have the Hiya Sharps.
I think you do. And the first 9-inch that I tried was actually a Hiya Sharp. And maybe that's why. And I know that it was somebody on here, I'm positive it was somebody on here that said that they actually made a blunter tip, and I ordered them, and they are my favorites. Carla, definitely try the Haya steel, and let us know what you think. Like, it works for me. And like I said, I push every single time with the tip of my finger. And I don't often, and I push out both ways. I'm just realizing that. So like once I wrap, I'll push there. Sometimes I even push out with my right finger too. And I've never had a puncture on the right side. It's always this poor little left finger. And I don't feel like I don't knit tightly.
On your left hand?
Yeah, that's what I'm pushing out with.
See, I never use my left hand to push, which is probably why I don't get punctures.
Yeah, but you have a whole different, you flick. Yours is an entirely different style of knitting. Anyway, but the puncture, it's always that poor left finger. And anyway, Valerie says a yarn tail. Yes. Karen is fantastic, Valerie. I won yarn from her. And you guys are so sweet too, because somebody sent me a message and said, "Oh, I'm watching Karen's podcast and you just won yarn." And I'm like, "What?" Nice. Yeah. And I did. And it was yarn that I totally would have bought. I love the color, because I remember I was watching and I think it was, she reached her 500th subscriber, and I commented on it, just saying, congratulations. I do enjoy watching. I watched her latest episode, yesterday. I was down here sewing a little bit, and she's fun. She's a newish knitter. If you haven't checked out her podcast too, you should. She's a newish knitter, and she's funny because she's pretty fearless. Like, she's quick to admit that this is something new to her, or that she's never done this before, and she doesn't know where it's going to lead her, but she's excited for the journey. And I find that's refreshing and courageous. And she was asking for some tips on this most recent podcast. She'd come across a couple of things in her knitting that she knew somebody would have the answers for. And she was just kind of putting that out there. Goodness, I'm stifling a yawn. I'm still on BC time. I can't get myself sorted. It took me a day when I went out there, but it's taking me 3 days, and it's
harder when you get home.
Well, I feel like it should be.
But I think it's just you get home and you're like, you're the letdown from being away, and you did a lot of stuff when you were away, and just getting back into the routine again is harder. Yeah.
I think Barb was asking what the hashtag is. I've got that on the bottom of the screen for you, Barb, for the KnitChat on Instagram. So you can pop that picture in there for us so we can take a look at what they are. Barb likes you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, but I was just looking down the bottom here. Deborah said, "What's the name of the podcast?" I think Karen's podcast is called A Yarn Tale.
A Yarn Tale, yeah. Oh, Emily's a flicker too.
There you go. So I didn't intend to be a flicker. That's just kind of how the knitting developed. So
yeah,
that's right, Tracy. When you get home, you need a vacation from the vacation.
Well, I had Monday off, and I planned to do so much more than I got done, but I did at least get some things done. So that was good. But I have some sewing that I wanted to get done, and I didn't get at that really at all. So Sarah says she thinks that traveling against the direction of the sun results in worse jet lag. So when she flew to Japan, the jet lag is less than when flying back to Canada. See, I traditionally have found it harder when we get to BC, but this time, and there's another one, this time I find it a little harder on the way back. Of course, I'm now 19 months older too, so. Emily said she watched too many Very Pink videos. She's fantastic though. When I want to know a technique, that's who I go to. Yeah. So she thinks that's how she started flicking. But you said that isn't it also called
it's called something about Irish cottage knitting or something. Yeah. Which, like I said, it was my mom that taught me, because she originally did teach me where you put it in and you take your hand off to wrap around the needle. And she said, "Don't worry, eventually you'll get fast enough that you don't have to do that." So I don't know. So now I don't take my hand off, and I don't know, but I didn't know that that's what it was called. So
the sock that you showed earlier, is that your Lucky Dip cowl for this month?
This one is. This is the one that I've only got this much done, and I have to be finished by July 31st. But this is only the 27th. There's 4 more full days. That's lots of time.
How big is that sock? Is it a 60 or a 72?
A 64.
A 64. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll get done. I'm not worried.
It'll get done.
Not worried.
Oh, Sarah says her needles are clear. What is next? I don't know. What can we make Sarah knit for us next?
I don't know. Wow. I don't know when I could ever say that. I'm like you, Kelly. Like, I usually don't have a ton of whips, and right now I have about 8, and that is unusual for me to have that many. Yeah,
I have more going than I normally do. And they're small. Most of them are small projects, and I have things I need to cast on. So
mine are not. Mine are mostly sweaters. So
I have sweaters I want to cast on. I have a sweater to finish. Yeah. I have a blanket to finish. I have a baby blanket to finish. I kind of forgot about that. When I was adding the socks to Ravelry last night, I thought, oh yeah, there's that baby blanket.
Yes. Did you take that with you?
No, I took small projects because I thought, I didn't want to, I had stuff to carry across the country. So I didn't want to take up suitcase space with bigger knitting stuff.
Things, yeah.
And plus, I figured, well, if I'm traveling, like sitting on a plane or in a car for a longer time, I wouldn't work on something big anyway. Okay, that's yawn number 3. This is tragic. I'm so sorry.
Anyways, that's okay. We should probably, it's after 8, and I have to go over and visit my mom for a little bit. So I have to go fix her iPad. Hopefully I can figure out what's wrong with it. Anyway.
Oh, Sarah wants to make the sea glass tea, but she's intimidated by all the ends. Okay, but just do them as you go. Do that thing. Do the
but those ends all change at the same place, and you're changing 2 colors every single row. That's a lot of fabric that's going to build up there. That's why they suggest doing magic knot. Right? Because you're changing colors. You're changing 2 colors every row or every 2 rows or something. That is a lot.
But she said that some people are reporting that their knots are coming undone. I'm kind of with you on that. I've
never done it, so I don't even know.
I use magic knot sparingly because I'm always afraid of it. I haven't had one come undone, but I'm still afraid of it.
And I know some people were also putting like fray check stuff on the back of, and I don't like that. Maybe that was on top of the knots. I don't know, but I don't like the idea of that either. So, Linda says, have a great weekend. I just watched Linda's latest podcast. It was great too. Her podcast is For the Fun of Knit. Okay. And she gave us a really nice shout out. So thanks, Linda. But she's got amazing projects, and she's doing a really nice test knit sweater now it's not pink, but it's a really pretty color. It's this aqua blue color. It's so pretty. So yeah, Barb says that the fray check is hard and scratchy. That's what I thought. I wouldn't want to be putting.
I wouldn't want that against my skin. Yeah, an entire sweater of magic knots is terrifying to me. So
and Sarah says she's using leftover sock yarn, which is all superwash, and your superwash, even with magic knot, is probably going to be more likely to come apart than if it was in a toothier yarn.
Yeah, and you can't really. Somebody else mentioned to spit splice. That's trickier with that type of a yarn too. I find that works really well with a bulkier, like a heavier weight yarn, and if it's like 100% wool.
Yeah.
If you're using sock yarn, there's likely there's nylon in there.
Well, most superwash wool does not want to stick to itself.
No.
I mean, that's the whole thing, is they took the scales off it, right? So that when you washed it, it wouldn't all felt together. So
yeah. Okay, there's one more. I'll put this one on the screen because this is another method of knotting that Julia suggested.
Julia said she saw on
the clasped weft join on YouTube, Louise Tilbrook. So if you wanted to make a note of that and check that out too, that might be something else for you, Sarah, or anybody else that's looking for that one. Yeah.
I know clasped weft is a technique that you use in weaving when you're going across and you want to join a color in the middle of a row. So
Mhm.
I've never tried it for knitting, but I know it is a weaving thing where you're joining the two fibers together.
Mhm. Mhm. And Tracy suggested this, and I think somebody else did too. If you just use one yarn and then you are changing only one color
One
every
color
row,
every row. Yep.
and I think that would still really give you a highly variegated sweater, or
Yep.
like really lots of colors. And then Barb says she knows a designer that uses a magic knot all the time. I don't know. I'm afraid. There's just, yeah.
I mean, even if I sometimes, if a yarn's slippery, I sometimes might, if I'm joining something on the back and you can't see if it's behind something, I might put like a flat knot in it, but I still sew the ends in.
Yes.
Because I'm still afraid that knot might come out.
I know.
So,
I'm the same. I'm just,
yeah.
I feel, and and even with that magic knot, they say, oh, you can cut the ends right to the knot. And my mind doesn't work that way. Like it's too terrified to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway. Okay.
Well, keep us informed, Sarah, with what you decide to do.
Yes, absolutely. And so get your socks in, because we are coming to the end of the month for our sock draw. So we'll be
make sure you finish them.
Finish your socks, get them in, and that's on Ravelry, our year-long sock along. You can go on there and find that, and then keep knitting all the shifty things. Yeah. And we have until the end of August for the shifty things. And yeah, that's what we have going on. And that's yawn 5. Okay. I'm done. I'm so sorry. I apologize. It's the rudest thing ever, yawning. Okay.
Wait, now you're gonna have me yawning.
I know, it's terrible.
Water.
And then the more I think about not yawning, the more my mind wants to yawn. So it's a terrible thing. Anyway, thank you so much for joining in.
Thanks everybody
for hanging out with us. Makes our week, for sure it does. And hey, Noelle, it's got to be podcast. Oh no, you're away. You're away. Okay. When you get back, we've got a podcast. We're overdue now, according to your timeline. Maybe you'll have a chance to get something finished before you come back. So
I have to get something finished. The socks by July 31st.
Yeah. Anyway, again, we'll be here.
Okay.
We'll be here next Tuesday, or will we? Yep. Are you back?
Yes. No, I'm back. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. We'll be here next Tuesday. I hope you will too. Take care. Stay safe.
Take care, everybody.
And happy knitting.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.